Today I'm going to do a little painting with latex house paint. I had an idea a while back about drawing a dog, and so I drew it. And then a few years later, I thought I'd go back to it and revisit it. So I painted it. This is just recent. And I like some parts of it. I like the way the color's coming out here. I like the background. I like the shape, this triangular shape, but I don't like the painting at all. And I don't know why I don't like it. I just don't. So what I'm going to do today is use latex house paint because it's cheap, because I have some of it, and because it might be something you have in your home. I'm going to paint right over the tabletop that I use for my spray paint demonstration. You can use cardboard, paper, pretty much anything. Ask your parents first, and remember to protect the area you're working in. I have a tarp up on my fence. You can lay it on the ground and put a tarp underneath it. You can use an old sheet. I'm gonna get started. So I've got a variety of house paints here. I've got all types of latex, latex enamel, a couple of samples. We'll see how this works for my color palette. I'm going to paint this whole thing with only a few brushes. I got a 3-inch brush, a couple of 2-inchers, a little weenie roller, and some old paint brushes I found in my garage. So you always want to mix your paint. It's already open. This one here is a pretty small container. It's only about halfway full. So instead of using a stir stick, I think I can just hold the lid down real tight, swish it around real good, and I'll probably get a pretty good mix out of it. So here's my paint. I'm gonna go ahead and pour some in this. Roll it back and forth across these ribs to saturate the paint into the roller. Keep the roller nice and wet. You can see as it starts to dry, the color changes. This is one of the drawbacks of using latex paint, is the color changes from wet to dry, and sometimes you can't predict how it's going to change. This gets especially tricky when you start to mix colors. We're not going to mix a lot of colors today. I'm going to use most of my colors straight from the can. You can see the image underneath it. This was an image made with spray paint, oil-based enamel, and it's almost always going to come through your first few layers of paint. This could be kind of cool. It could make a neat effect, or it could be really, really bothersome if you're trying to get rid of it completely. Good luck. Don't let your paint brushes dry out between uses.
You know, this is where I really have a good time. It's cleaning this old brush. Shake it off, then and just beat the devil out of it.
I've got this gnarly bucket here full of water. I'm putting my roller in there because I think I'm going to use this roller again later. I'm just going to drop it in the bucket of water while I'm working. This is not something you would do with the fine art paintbrush, but something you can do with the house painting brush. They're just a little more durable that way. So just make sure your paints don't dry out. So I'm going to take a dark gray. I'm going to go add a little bit of black to this gray. I'm going to block in my large forms. Using a 2-inch brush, got some mucky gray in there. I'm going to start with my large forms, like I said. So I've drawn and painted this dog so many times that I kind of know where the forms are. I'm playing with them, I'm stretching them to fit this wider frame. I'm reversing the color palette. Instead of going warm on the figure, I'm going to go warm on the ground, and I'm going to do cool colors on the figure because of this. Look at this. I got this really neat teal. I think it will look great next to this red. Now, because latex can turn to mud really quickly, I'm gonna let that dry. Take a break. See you soon. I guess I'm gonna go with that. One thing latex paint's not very good at is blending. You're not going to get very good blending with latex paint. It's nearly impossible. using a towel to dry off those brushes before I dip them into the paint. I want to stress that you have to let it dry as you're working, or you're going to lose a lot of these really nice little moments of color. It'll all just turn gray, a really ugly gray too. So I really want to use white, and all I could find was this really old artist tempera.
El río agoniza y eso da prisa a mi pasión y digo yo, el mundo se va a acabar, el mundo se va a acabar. Si un día me has de querer, te debes apresurar. El mundo se va a acabar, el mundo se va a acabar.
So as I'm painting, I got a different energy from it. I'm feeling like I want to really expand on the movement of this dog, so a lot of horizontal lines. Even kind of fun to sort of move the brush really quick across the surface to get these little spatter effects. Now, once again, I don't want to overwork it, so I'm going to give it another break.
¿A dónde se fue? ¿En dónde estará? Mi perro se ha ido, lo voy a buscar. Se habrá enamorado, se habrá destrapado y no sé dónde está. Maldito perro, perro, maldito perro, perro, maldito perro, perro. Aquí dejó su hueso. ¡Hey! 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 Se ha alargado, anda de arrastrado. Detrás de una perra se fue el condenado. Quien lo vea, que tenga cuidado, pues muy cogelón, se cree desgraciado. Maldito perro, perro, maldito perro, perro, maldito perro, perro. Aquí dejó su hueso.
It's a good place to stop for today. It was a lot of fun. Got a lot of paint in my hands. I'll work on this again later. Let it completely dry. One thing about latex, like I told you, is that it dries really, really quickly. But if you overwork it, it turns to mud. So you got to paint a little bit, let it dry, come back later. Also, your perspective changes a little bit. I'm going to wash my brushes, come back out here later in the day.